I'm going to give some advice to that a lot of people are not going to want to hear. Like most good advice, nobody really wants to hear it. I'm talking about, and I'm specifically talking to freelance people who want to be freelance copywriters. This is not necessarily going to apply to people who are already successful freelance copywriters, but if you're just getting started with freelancing and you're frustrated and you can't get clients, you're spending all this time dealing with flaky people and people not getting back to you and giving you the runaround, and somebody might send you a great lead and then that person spends 3 weeks not getting back to you, and you know, maybe you even did some work for them to try to impress them, or you spent some time with them on the phone and it's not happening, right? It's just frustrating. This is the plight of almost everyone who gets into freelance copywriting. Even people who pretend like it doesn't, it does. It happens to everybody. It certainly happened to me a lot back in my early days of freelancing. So I have some advice. Now, this is not something I really thought about until about, at the time of this recording, until about 7 years ago or so, 6 years. I was already done with client work at this time, or I was just getting out of client work. But it would have been very helpful to know this from the beginning when I first started, like in 2002. Like this would have just changed everything for me. And again, it's advice most people who want to do freelancing don't want to hear, because for some reason, a lot of people, the ones I know at least, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of people I don't know, get very seduced by this idea of being a freelance copywriter. They see all these people on Facebook talking about all the fees they make and all the money they made their clients, how happy they're. It's all a show. It's a freaking show. It's a song and dance. It's a pony show. They're putting on a show because it probably helps them get more sales. It helps them get likes and all that stuff. Whatever. I'm not saying they don't help their clients. I'm sure a lot of them do, but it's easy to get seduced by this. Everybody wants to be like the agency person, right? Like, I'm a copywriter or whatever. Everybody wants to be the, madman and all that. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but something's contributing to this culture of everyone wanting to be in freelancing. And this applies to people that I have specifically warned against doing it, and they still go and do it. There are people I have taken under my wing, under my righteous wing, because they had, I'm going to say, I probably still do, but I don't know. I don't keep in touch with any of these people. But they had a lot of potential to actually be real entrepreneurs, and they actually have stuff they could sell and build the business around. But then as soon as they get introduced to this idea of freelance copywriting, once they learn a few things about copywriting and they meet a few people or whatever, instantly everything else goes out the door. Some of these people have had their own successful businesses already. They shut the doors and start doing freelancing. This is at least 3 people I can think of that have done this. To my knowledge, one of them actually went back and did what I told them to do. Only one out of the 3. I warned repeatedly against this. Do not I wouldn't even help people who want to be freelancers at this point. And that's why by the way, this is why I don't do, the whole mentoring thing and all that. Screw it. I want nothing to do with other people. You guys are all on your own, unless you want to buy my info products or whatever. But that's besides the point. The reason here's the lesson. Many years ago, like I said, it was probably like 7 years ago, I was talking to my friend Doberman Dan Gallipu. I believe he was interviewing me for he has a print newsletter, and they would get like monthly teleseminars and stuff. And he was interviewing me for one of them, and somehow I think it was about client work and getting clients. And he said something very, very, very wise. And this is the guy that's been around the block. He was selling on the internet back before people even knew what the internet was, for the most part. He was roommates with the great Gary Halbert for a few months. Did projects with him. A lot of mailing projects. Was run his own successful companies. Does freelancing now. And I'm sure he's also got his own side business too, so he doesn't just do freelancing. My point is, he's someone to listen to about this topic. He's worked from everyone with Gary Halbert. He's worked for Agora Financial. He's done his own stuff. He's run his own $1 million supplement company. He's been around the block. He's a very wise person. And, it's smart to listen to a guy like him when it comes to this. And he goes, the irony of client work is, and this is what no freelancer wants to hear this. And it might be because most freelancers are not business people. They're freelancers. They basically have an employee mentality. They want to just get their assignment and be done, clock in. It's like virtually clocking in and clocking out. And they don't want to deal with the business and all that. I understand. It's totally understandable. Completely understandable. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I mean, I get it. I think this is why so many copywriters are doing like what the great Brian Kurtz has been talking about, where it's more than just getting a client working on an ad. Now they're kind of partnering with clients for a piece of the sales now, which to me is very wise, by the way. But the advice I'm going to give will help you get clients like that, and good clients, and high-paying clients, and clients who are not flaky, and clients who are not going to jerk you around and give you the runaround and all that. Again, I'm just warning you now, because I guarantee most freelancers do not want to hear this. But you're just going to have to sack up and do it if you really want to not have these problems. So here's what Doberman Dan said. He said, yeah, I'm paraphrasing, the irony of all this is the best way to get clients is to sell your own products. To build your own list and sell your own products. And there's many reasons for this. One of which is, if you have your own successful info publishing, it doesn't have to be information, it can be anything you want to sell, but you have your own list that you write your own copy for, send your own emails to, write your own sales letters and all that, do your own customer service, or at least outsource whatever you don't want to do, whatever it is, you now come to the table with a very solid positioning. For one, you're not needy. You don't really need the client if you don't care. You don't need them. They need you more than you need them. Especially if you're writing and selling your own stuff, that means you're better than most copywriters, because most copywriters cannot sell their own stuff. They can't even sell themselves, and they want to go around and sell other people's stuff. So that's one thing. Another thing with this is it's much easier to convince somebody, to sell somebody on your competence as a copywriter when you show them that you're already a competent copywriter because you have your own product line. It's not just a portfolio, this is a portfolio of your own stuff. This is your best stuff. They can take it or leave it at that point, but it's like there's an assumption of competence there that you're really good at what you do because you do it every day. And you do it for your own stuff. It might be an unconscious thing, I don't know. You don't even really have to come out and say it, but it's there. And this is what Dan was saying. He goes, if you want clients, build your own business. No, you don't have to build $1 million empire for this to work. You really don't. You could have probably a 4-figure income, monthly income doing this, maybe even less. But the point is you're writing every day because you're selling your own stuff. You're working every day. Depending on what market you're in, you'll have a certain specialty. So if whatever it is, if you're writing business to business, you're going to have that specialty built in. If you're writing to health, let's say you sell a health product, well, now health-related marketer clients are going to be very interested in you by default because there's a specialist factor there that factors in. Very powerful for positioning. And so it is. And I know a lot of freelancers, I'm going to say no, because there's some freelancers who love freelancing, very few, by the way, that I've ever met, who love freelancing and have their own side thing going. So, for example, the great Bob Bly, he'd be a perfect example of this. Loves doing client. You could not get him to not do client work. I mean, that's how much he loves doing client work. But he still has a nice side business going. Very profitable side business, a big list that he sells stuff to. This guy has no trouble getting clients. He has to turn them away. Now, there's more to it than just that, but that's definitely got to be a factor to it. Now, if you want to do that, fine. Now, here's another thing that'll probably happen once you start selling your own stuff. You may find, I don't really want to do client work. I don't want to screw around with all this client stuff. The only thing that client work really, there's reasons to do it. Like, for example, I've talked to Bob Bly about this. Bring him up again. He actually likes the variety. And I think he's right. If you want to be one of the best copywriters in the world like he is, you can't really do that just by selling your own stuff because you can get away with a lot more than when you're selling to cold markets for other clients. But if that's your goal, to be the best copywriter, fine. Then you're going to have to do client work. But if your goal is just to make some pretty good money, have some freedom, build a business that gives you time and money freedom and all that you can build upon and scale out and grow as big or as small as you want, sell your own stuff. And so it is. And that's the lesson I want to give here. And I've known at least 3 people who I've personally mentored, or at least not necessarily mentored, but taken under my wing in some way, either directly or indirectly or something. But, I've seen it happen over and over, and it boggles my mind, absolutely boggles my mind. And why they get so seduced by this. It's like the dark side of the force. It's quick, it's seductive. Oh, I can get a $10,000 check. And then what? Well, now you got to go out and get another one. It's just no different than having a job. You're still hustling. Personally, I'd rather build my own thing. Now, I know that's not everyone's preference, but if you are a freelance copywriter, put some serious thought into selling your own stuff. Your own info product business, especially informational. And even better is if you're selling to other marketers, you know, stuff to help them make more money, copywriting related or not. I had to jump over something there. So something to think about. And this is, if you want help with this, I highly recommend my 10-minute workday program with AWAI. They train copywriters there, but they saw a huge need for this too, I think, which is why they approached me to do the program in the first place. There's a lot of people that don't want to do client work. They want to be their own client. That's what it's for. But it would also help you if you want to do client work. You build your own side thing, which makes getting clients much, much easier by default if that's what you want to do. And that's at 10minuteworkday.com. That's the number 10minuteworkday.com. And end of shameless plug. And so it is.